Hello, and welcome to Better Living for Better Health. I'm Melody Knoll with the Kentucky Cancer Program, and I'm often asked by people when I'm out in the community, well, what can I do to be sure I don't get cancer? While there's not a steadfast rule there or quick answer, I do always share you can make sure that you are eating well, eating fruits and vegetables, and if you're smoking, stop. If you're not moving, get up off the couch and have physical activity, at least 30 minutes every day. Today, our program, I hope, will inspire you to maybe meet some of the resolutions you made at the beginning of the year. We tend to do that in America, and I have two guests with me today that are going to share about their programs. And I'd like to introduce them to you right now. I have Jamie Smith, who is our community rep with the American Cancer Society. And she's going to talk to us today about a program called the Great American Health Check. And I also have Denise Wooley. She is the Family and Consumer Science Agent with the McCracken County Cooperative Extension Service. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. And she's going to share with us a program called Wait, the Reality Series. Welcome to each of you.
Thank you.
Glad that you're here. To begin with, I would like for each of you just to share a little bit about yourself and maybe about your position, some of the things that you do, and then we'll get into the specifics about your programs. Jamie, would you like to start?
Well, I'm Jamie Smith, and like you said, I'm the community rep for McCracken County. And basically what I do is I, of course, do Relay for Life here in McCracken County, but also I cover our health initiatives, which is our programs and services that we provide to cancer patients and families in the community. And we have a lot of programs, and our office is here in Paducah.
Okay. How long have you been with American Cancer Society?
Almost a year.
Okay, awesome.
Well, I've been with the Cooperative Extension Service here in McCracken County for about a year and a half. And as the Family and Consumer Science Agent, a lot of people don't know what that title means. It's what used to be called like the Home Economics Agent, so sometimes that makes people a little bit more clear. So I deal with a variety of issues I work with people, little children in preschool all the way to senior citizens on different things. I regularly speak at senior citizens, and I work with preschool to do like what's called the LEAP program for literacy, eating, and physical activity. And I do presentations at middle schools, and then I answer questions from the community that they may have about food preparation or anything like that. So it's just a very wide variety of items and things that I deal with.
Great. So you don't get bored with your position
No,
at
it's
all.
something different all the time, so
Yeah.
it keeps me busy.
Absolutely. Well, today I've asked you here because you know, in America we do make New Year's resolutions, and sometimes we keep them, but sometimes we break them as, you know, as few as a few months or a few days, few weeks, maybe even a few minutes. And I know most of the time people make resolutions to either lose weight, stop smoking, get more physical activity, sometimes just to have more stress reduction in our lives. And I think each of your programs will benefit us with those resolutions. So Jamie, if you wouldn't mind, tell us, what is the Great American Health Check?
Well, the Great American Health Check is a website-based assessment tool that you can go online, and you'll answer a few questions, and then it'll give you a printout that will give you an action plan on ways that you can change your lifestyle to, of course, prevent cancer.
Okay. And why did the American Cancer Society create the Great American Health Check?
Well, the American Cancer Society, of course, focuses on eliminating cancer, reducing the death rate from cancer, and just general education to the community. And they've focused on the Great American Smokeout before in the past, which I'm sure everybody's probably heard of, which is the quit smoking in November. And so this year they've added some more Great Americans. And so we have the Great American Health Check, which was January 18th. And then we have the Great American Eat Right Challenge, which will be coming out in August. But the Great American Health Check goes well, as you said, with New Year's resolutions. And basically, it's just an educational tool and a hands-on tool that people in the community can use to raise awareness. And like you said, you know, resolutions are great, but to put it in more perspective for you, I mean, if you do actually change your lifestyle and your eating habits and your exercise, you can actually reduce your risk of getting cancer by 50%.
Right. I know so many people want to think that it's something, you know, strange out there that's going to give them cancer, and I think sometimes we don't want to take responsibility that it is what we do sometimes, but not always. I mean, we need to make sure that we're aware of that too. How long does it take to do the assessment? And I'm kind of giving you leading questions because I actually did do the assessment, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
The assessment only takes 2 to 4 minutes, and it depends upon your internet connection. One of the screenshots asks you to pick whether you're on a high band speed or if you're on dial-up. And so if you're on dial-up, it might take just a few minutes longer, but the questions are really to the point, really simple, and so probably 2 to 4 minutes.
Okay, and I found that to be true. I did go online just to take a look at it, and tell us what types of questions are asked, and then we'll discuss that.
There's 4 different segments. The first segment just basically talks about demographics, you as an individual, your age, your weight, your height, gender, and then it moves into the second step, which talks about your eating habits, and it'll talk to you about fruits and vegetables, your meats, the type of rice you eat, whether you're eating whole grain, which of course is very important, and then it moves into physical activity, and it asks you, how often are you getting up off the couch and doing something, or are you just sitting there working the remote control every day? And then the last part of it talks about your alcohol and your tobacco use, and it just really encourages you to limit your alcohol use, and then, like you said, to quit smoking. But it talks about whether you smoke or if you use tobacco chew as well.
Okay. As I said, I did the Great American Health Check, and I was very pleased to see my results. I do have some things to work on, as we all do, but what I really liked about it, it did actually lay out, and I brought it with me, but we won't show that on television, but it did lay out some goals for me and things for me to do, and including the health checks that I should have that are appropriate for my age. And I'm happy to say I'm up to date with all of mine. And the emphasis on the eating habits, and as far as having the whole grains and the fruits and vegetables, which I think are very important. So with that, I think we're going to jump over to Denise for a few minutes, because her program, Weight the Reality Series, I think is something that if someone were to go and have the health check and they realized this was something they needed to work on, they might want to call Denise. So Denise, tell us exactly what is Weight the Reality Series?
Well, Weight the Reality Series is a series of classes that's held several times throughout the year for people that are wanting to get their weight under control. And it's based on really the participants of that program really decide how they're going to do, how they're going to lose the weight, how they're going to decide to manage their weight and things like that. 4 times throughout the program, they'll do what we call design your own plan. And there's 3 different parts on that. How you're going to change the way that you eat, how that you're going to change the ways that you do things throughout your life to get more physical activity, sneaking in physical activity, parking farther away in a parking lot, it lists different ideas that you choose several from. And then the other one is how to build a support system, because that's very important if you want to get your weight under control, building a support system of people around you and things like that. But there's suggestions listed under all 3 of those categories, and they choose that. And that's a program that we teach lessons each week on different things about carbohydrates or fat or needing calcium in your diet. A lot of things that maybe people have heard before, but maybe they haven't. And like portion distortion, how portion sizes over the last 20 years have gotten so much larger that we're consuming a lot more food. When we order food, it's just a lot bigger sizes, and becoming aware of that and what you order and things like that. Right. So, we have lessons and different things, and they actually work throughout the program to decide what they're going to do to get their weight under control.
Awesome. So with the portion distortion, when you go to the local restaurant and they bring you almost a platter of food, what you would normally serve your family, what are some of the tips that you give them about how to deal with that platter of food?
Right. Well, of course, if they're dining, if 2 people are there and they can agree on the entree, they could always split that. Or sometimes the restaurants will allow you to order lunch-size portions even if you're eating at night, and so that's a way of getting a smaller amount. Another thing, and people in the class have said they've done this, after participating in a while is getting a to-go box at the very beginning of the meal and halving their entree and putting that in the to-go box. That way it's not on their plate in front of them and they feel like they have to eat that.
Right.
So those are several different ways, you know, to eat less whenever you're eating out.
Absolutely, and I do that. And it helps
It
because
does
if it's
help.
not in front of you, you
Right,
can't continue
right,
to
if
eat.
it's not in front of you,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. And also, I found interesting in some of the information about just the fact the plate sizes that we use, even at our home, have increased. And
Right.
you want to share a little bit about
Right.
that?
The size of dinner plates now, I mean, they may be, the ones that you can go out and buy to have at your home may be really considered platter size. They've just gotten bigger over the years to what, you know, used to dinner plates look like. And so that is one suggestion under the design your plan on how you're going to change your eating habits, is maybe eating on your salad plate, which is a smaller plate. And so when you feel that, your eyes, it looks like you're, you
Looks
know,
like it's full.
it looks full, and so it seems pleasing, but you're not consuming as much because we have the tendency to want to fill our plate no matter how large the plate is. And if we have one of those large plates that are available now, then, you know, you're consuming a lot more food that way.
And then being in the Clean Plate Club, you know.
Right, and then when you
We've
wanna
all heard
clean
that
it
when
all.
we were growing up as children, you know. Okay. As far as the series, I know you've had a couple of classes. And how many weeks do they meet? And can you tell us some specifics like that?
Well, we've had two different sets of classes, and they've actually met. One class was 8 weeks, and one was 10. Because sometimes we work with community partners, and based on different things, you can do it in 8 weeks, or you can do it in 10. You know, you can determine that. But throughout those weeks, like I said, there's 4 weeks in there that you do the design your plan. So as long as you get those in there, but each week we have different activities. We'll have a healthy recipe, some type of physical activity, and some type of lesson. And so those can be covered in about 8 to 10 weeks.
Okay. In the classes that you have held, I know you've had different audiences. I know you started out, I think, with some of the homemaker clubs
Right.
that were actually participating, and then you went to a strictly community class, I believe. Do you have any success stories or anything you'd like to share, or maybe something you learned as the leader and facilitator?
Well, I learned that I need to know a lot of answers to a lot of questions, but I really enjoyed facilitating both of those, and I did learn a lot from each group. One of them that I learned was that, well, actually in both groups, people had told me at the very beginning, you know, I've tried everything and nothing's worked, you know, and then at the end of the 8 to 10 weeks, being able to see that they have, you know, made progress, they've changed their eating styles and things like that, and the weight has started to come off, so that if they continue those new eating styles and physical activity, you know, I know that they will eventually lose more weight and get to their ideal weight. But I was able to help one lady that was due to knee problems, was not able to really get up and exercise or be mobile real often, and we were able to work on exercises she could do sitting in a chair, and we were able to work with her, and so that was a real success, because she was able to start losing weight when she felt like there was really no hope for her, because she didn't think she could, you know, get up and exercise like everybody else.
And I know that's rewarding to you to be
Yeah.
a part of that. I hear that it just sounds like it's very individual, even though they're in a group. When they're designing their own plan, they can probably make some decisions that they know they can probably stick to, rather than taking some of the fad diets that we
Right.
all see, or plans, and those might be difficult to stick to. So, well, great. As far as losing weight and all of those things that we were talking about with the health assessment, as far as the results that the people get, tell us how they do that with the health check. And
Well, after they finish the last segment, the section 4 on the alcohol and tobacco, it will pull up the results, and it'll pop up a new window on the screen, and then there will be it's 3 pages was mine, but a 3-page printout that you can either print out, or you can email it to yourself, or you can do both. But what the American Cancer Society really encourages individuals to do is to print that out and then take it to their primary care physician, to sit down with the primary care physician to make sure that they've had all the appropriate cancer screenings, and then again look at their eating style. You know, if you start a new health routine, exercise, you may want to discuss that with your primary care physician as well, just so you know your limitations and what they encourage you to do and what they encourage you not to do. Especially with, some of the people that we deal with may have like bad backs and things like that, and there's certain activities that they shouldn't do until that is built up with muscle. So really talking to your doctor, and then I think it's just important too to sit down with your doctor and actually let him see that you're taking the initiative to make a difference in your own life. And because doctors can talk to you all day about what you need to do, but until you get the initiative to do that and to take that upon yourself, then you're really, not going to do it.
Right.
So this is just a good tool for you to look at and to keep with you, and to remind you of what you should be eating, how many days you should be exercising, how long you should be exercising. And like Denise said, it's not getting on a treadmill every day for 30 minutes. It's walking from the end of the parking lot to the building, taking the stairs, doing things like that count as activity as well.
Yeah, I went a little bit further on the website, and I actually found a spot where it talked about different activities that counted, and there were things that were considered low or moderate,
Right.
and then they go all the way up to high intensity, and I think that was, we get it in the mindset that you either have to join the gym or buy that exercise video, and then you're going, well, you always make an excuse not to go to the gym or not to use that exercise video. And okay, personal confession time here, but yes, finding out that yes, if you're gardening and actually spending time outdoors and doing things that you really enjoy, and you're moving and you're physical, but you didn't know that it could actually count.
And things you don't enjoy, like vacuuming the house.
Cleaning the house.
And it counts as physical activity.
It does. We did a program at work with Active for Life. The American Cancer Study does that with companies. And it's an online tool as well, and you count the number of minutes you exercise each day. And even at staff meetings, we were just taking a break during the day and walking, just outside for a few minutes before lunch. And that's a way to get more people involved with you as well. And like you said, whenever you have somebody, accountability partner, you seem to be able to stick with the program more.
Right. And I think that goes back to Denise's program, because they have Denise there as their facilitator to teach them new things, but when they go home, they can either make sure they have that home support, but I imagine some of the ladies probably even share their phone numbers and talk to each other in between meetings. Would that happen
They have
as
done
well?
that, and then after the course of the program are over, they want to continue to meet with each other. So sometimes they've gotten together as a group even the class is over with, because they have built that support and that trust, I guess, within each other to want to share, and they help each other out. So it's been very important.
What are some of the physical activity suggestions that you give during the program?
Well, of course, walking is something that is stressed, because that's something that you can do anywhere inside your home if it's cold outside or anything like that. And then we show different exercises in another program we have called well, I've about forgotten the name of the program. Wildcat Way to Wellness. I'll get it out in just a minute. But it shows different exercises in that program that are specific that they can take home. It has a little sheet that shows them what to do. And so we actually show them different exercises. We even tell them they can use canned goods out of their pantry to use as arm weights and things like that. And so there's just several different things that we do each week with them.
And I don't think we mentioned this, but this program that you offer, is there a charge for it?
Now, the program has been offered for free into the community.
Okay. And so even giving them ideas about using canned goods for weights, I mean, they really don't have to invest a lot of money, which sometimes we will use that as an excuse not to be in a program. But so there's not a fee for the class, and some of the suggestions that you give them, they actually can have things at home they can use.
Right. We want them to know that it doesn't cost a lot of money to be able to exercise.
We're getting rid of all of our excuses, aren't we? Yeah. Another thing, when you were talking, Jamie, I thought about too, about during staff meetings. I think a lot of people think, well, I don't have 30 minutes or an hour to exercise a day, but what about if they can do it 10 minutes at a time? Will that be beneficial?
That's perfect. Yeah, to do that, to break it up, just as long as you have some, and even getting a pedometer and wearing it on your belt loop, and just making sure that you're taking the right amount of steps each day, because it could just be, instead of, especially in an office, sometimes we get so lazy and they're an office away, and what do? You call them instead of getting up out of your seat and just walking to the next door to pop your head in and say something. So just to make little changes like that.
or even emailing each other in the same
Yeah.
office. Don't have to get up that way either.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. As far as the test results, we'll go back to that, and I'll even share just a few things of mine that did pop up because they are age and gender specific.
Right.
And not only does it discuss our eating habits and whether we smoke or not, and I am a non-smoker, so I got good reinforcement for
Yeah.
being a non-smoker on my list. But as part of my age, it talks about the fact that I need to make sure that I'm having my annual breast exams and seeing a physician. They also mention that as a woman, I need to have my lymph nodes checked, my oral cavity, my mouth,
Yes.
the ovaries, the skin, and the thyroid. And those are some things probably that I might not, think
Think
about. So I was very pleased to see some interesting things pop up there. And then also on mine, it told me under the eating habits that I should choose food and beverages in amounts that help achieve and maintain a healthy weight. And we're talking about those. Eating 5 or more servings of a variety of vegetables and fruits every day. The whole grains, which you already mentioned. And also limiting the consumption of processed and red meats. And I don't think we talked much about that. You want to add to that or share some
I'm
more
certainly not a
information?
dietitian, but
Okay.
just in general education, and Denise might have some more information on it, but really what they tell you to focus on is an easy substitute that I've learned to incorporate into my diet is instead of using ground beef all the time, to use ground turkey. I love the taste now to it. I don't ever eat ground beef anymore just because I'm so used to ground turkey. And, chicken, fish, and they really encourage you to eat fish more than just once a week. It's a really good source of so many different things that you need to incorporate into your diet, and you don't ever think of that very often because certainly when I was growing up, I never ate seafood or any kind of fish. So those are the meats that they really want you to focus on and to reduce the red meat.
meats, which we're talking about beef and pork.
I would think.
Okay.
Do you know?
I think maybe specifically beef,
Okay.
the amount of beef, but
Okay.
maybe pork as well. But even with beef, there are leaner choices and options that if you don't want to give up beef completely, you can learn what would be the better.
Right. I know it, through one of my experiences, somebody I think it was a dietitian that said, if you want to if you can't give up the steak, or the pork, choose something that ends in loin, because that's going to be, the tenderloin, the sirloin. Those are going to be the choices that are the leanest of those categories. Didn't mean to stump you there on those questions, but in fact, I know one of the graphics when we were looking at your materials, it actually showed a plate. Would you want to discuss just briefly what that plate meant as far as thinking about it and the portions?
Right. A lot of times when we look at our plate, whether we fix our food at home or when we eat out, meat will take up a large portion of our plate, where in actuality that's supposed to be a very small portion and the rest should be fruits or vegetables, things like that. And when you look at your plate, it should be very colorful, trying to get different colors of fruits and vegetables in there, but the meat should be like a 3-ounce size, which is maybe about the size of a deck of cards. And when we think about the size of the portion of meat that we eat, you can see you're eating maybe 2 or 3 servings at a time. And so the plate kind of makes you, it's a visual, so that when you look at your plate every time when you're eating, you can think about, are my portion sizes correct? Am I eating more meat? Do I need to eat more fruits and vegetables? And things like that.
Okay. So actually getting in our mind that when we have our salad plate instead of our dinner plate, that we kind of need to divide it and only have a small portion with our meat or protein choice.
Right.
Yeah. We've got a lot to learn, don't we? We're going to make it though. You were talking about physical activity when you're sharing with people when you're out in the community. I know we talk about doing those little things, but if someone wanted to do a gym program or something, what kind of recommendations as far as choosing those do you give?
Well, basically what I think whenever I think of going to the gym, it depends on what works for you and what works for your body. Again, I would talk to your physician about that.
Okay.
Because certain machines, if you have bad knees or things like that, there are certain machines that you can't use. Or you need to build up, your muscle before you get on those. So I would consult your physician, and then several gyms have personal trainers there that can help assist in creating a workout routine that works for you and targets what your goals are. If you're working on certain muscles, or if you want to gain muscle, if you want to lose weight, then they are the ones that are the professionals that could help incorporate a workout routine for you there.
Excellent advice. I just want to kind of bring that out because we didn't want to totally rule that out for
Right.
folks as an option. Just to sum up, if each of you would just kind of do a wrap-up statement about each of your programs, and then share your contact information so that folks can call you and get a hold of you if they want to learn more.
Like I said, the Great American Health Check, it's actually online at www.cancer.org/healthcheck. And you can take that online. If you need more information about the program, you can call our 1-800 number. That's our national cancer hotline that we have, and that is 1-800-ACS-2345, or our local office here in Paducah, that's 3140 Parissa Drive, and our local number is 444-0384.
Great.
Okay, well, with Way Through Reality series, it's an 8 to 10 week program, and hopefully we'll be offering again that real soon in the future. And we have partnered before with the Purchase District Health Department, and we are planning to do that again in the community, so we can be watching for that. And it's a program for anyone that is wanting to try to get their weight under control and maybe needs a little bit of help and a support group and some more information to help them make better choices or the right choices for them. And I am located at the McCracken County Cooperative Extension Service. That's at 2705 Olivet Church Road, and the phone number there is 554-9520, so you can reach me there.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. I think we've talked about two important opportunities in the community that can help us be healthier and live longer and hopefully reduce our cancer risk as well. No matter what behavior change that you have chosen that you're working on this year, know that there are people in our community to help you. Feel free to call the American Cancer Society, the McCracken County Extension Office, the Kentucky Cancer Program. We're here to help you, and we want to help you go through the journey that you're on at keeping your New Year's resolutions and those all-year resolutions. I'll see you next time on Better Living for Better Health.